Hi and welcome in this video. In this series, I'm gonna take you to the next step in web development. You have studied HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and you can build a dynamic web page using JavaScript. So one of the JavaScript methods is JSON. JSON is a text which written with JavaScript object notation. So JSON is short for JavaScript object notation. So before we see the syntax for JSON, firstly let we review how to make an array and access to the index inside the array, and how to make an object and access to any element inside the object. So to make an array, just define a variable and for example call it names. Within the square brackets, just type the first value, which is for example Ahmed, and then the second value Alonso. So now I want to get the second value Alonso within this division. So let we first access to the division. So we want to get the second element. So it will be the name of the array and then the index 1. Nice. Let me now make an object. So this object will be, for example, about identity. So variable identity and equal to curly brackets and then the key and the value. So for example, name and the value within double quotes and comma the second key, age, and then let me make it 23. Finally, let me make the last one about gender. Let me now try to get the gender value. So to do this, just the name of the object, identity, dot the name of the key. So gender, fabulous. We can also add another object and for example make it hobbies. And hobbies is an object that contain, we just make it simple like this so you can understand it well. So hobbies maybe is, and sports is an array that has two values. The first one is football and the second one is swimming, and then arts, and just has one value, drawing. But let me separate them with comma. So now if I want to access to the arts, so identity, then hobbies dot arts, but bear in mind we use uppercase A. Let me now try to merge between the array and the object. I will make an object and call it also identity, variable identity, and it will be an array and contain two objects, one for someone called Ahmed and another one for someone called Alonso, and contain some information about each one of them. So the first object has a name for someone called Ahmed and his age And last thing, let me make his hobbies. And the hobbies is an object, so it's sports like this. Let me copy this, and arts. And let me make another one for someone called Alonso. So here an array that contain two objects. The first one contain four keys, and hobbies contain two keys. One of them is an array. Let's try now to access to, for example, sports in the first object. So it will be the name of the array, which is identity, but identity we want to access to the index 0, like the first array. We wanted to get the second index, so we access to the name and the number of the index. So here we have the object in index 0. Then we want to access to hobbies dot arts, or let me access to sports. So sports, but I want to access to swimming. So it will be sports 1. Let me see now. Nice. Let me now make it inside a paragraph to make it advanced than this. And we can use all information. So for example, let me say there is an opening paragraph tag plus, let me type something, my name is, and space, and then add. So we want to access to the second object, so it's identity, but this time is 1. So now we want to access to the name, so dot name plus, and my age is. So now we want to access to the age, so identity 1 dot age plus my favorite sport is, for example, let me make it volleyball. So identity dot hobbies dot sports 0 plus, my favorite art is, and plus identity 1 dot hobbies dot arts, and plus close the paragraph tag. So we have a wrong here. You see it in the console. Can treat robbery 0 of undefined in the line 40. Yeah, here is uppercases. Nice. My name is Alonso and my age is 30, and my favorite sport is volleyball, and my favorite art is writing. Nice. Now I want to say congratulations. Just learned how to type a JSON object. This is a JSON object. It's an array of objects. So here is the first object, which has some keys and values, and then the second object also has some keys and values. So this is the syntax for JSON object, but the keys for JSON object will be within a double quotes. So name will be within a double quotes, and age, and all the keys. Now we didn't see any mistakes because we use JSON locally or in our PC, not using server. But when we learn how to access to a JSON file from a server and the keys aren't in double quotes, you will get an error message. So let me see if there is any difference or not. The same thing. But here is the right syntax for JSON object. So JSON is a text, so it's easily to receive and send to the server. So we can just store data in servers, and this will make our page very fast. And you will see this later when we explain how to get the data from server and send data to the server. But now let we learn another way to access to any element inside the object. This way will make it easy for you when we start learning how to receive and send data to the server. So let me see. So beneath, I will define a variable and call it my JSON, and it will be equal to JSON dot stringify. What does this mean? But let me finish it. Now we want to stringify identity, which is the object, or let me consider it as a file. So it's JSON file. So what is JSON stringify? Before I told you that JSON is a text, so it makes it easy to the browser to send or receive data from the server. So to send data to the server or send this JSON file to the server, so we have here an object. So we gotta convert it to string to send it to the server. And when we get it back from the server, we will use another function to convert it to a text again. So we can display it or use it within our page. Let me see this. So our server here is virtual. I'll just use a variable as a server. So now using stringify function, I converted this object or this JSON file object to a string. So now let we send it to the server, but local server. This server will be a variable. So let we send now my JSON to this local server. So local storage dot set item and the name of the server or the variable now. So let me call it test JSON, then the JSON file. So now we save the JSON file inside a variable my.json. So my JSON. So all what we do now is convert this object identity to a string and saved it inside a variable my.json. Then send my.json to another variable which will be as a server, but local server. Now let we get back this JSON file and display it within our page. So let we define another variable and I will call it text will equal to, we want to get the JSON file. So local storage dot get item. So what is the item that we want to get? Test JSON. So now we got the JSON file. So to display it in our page, we gotta convert it to a text again. So variable object equal to, this time we will use a function JSON and the function is cars, and it will be text. So we want to convert the object or the JSON file to a text again to display it within our page. So what we have done is convert this object or JSON file to a string, then send to a local server, which is as a variable. Then get this object and convert it to a text. So now we can use it within our page. So just instead of identity1, we will use the variable object, which is now equal to the JSON file that we converted to a text. So object 1 and here 2. Let me see if there is any change. So there's something wrong. Let me check this. Yeah, there's something wrong with this function. Yeah, there is E, and also here P is lowercase letter. There is another wrong. Can't read properly 0 of null. So I guess we did something wrong here. Yeah, here is test JSON. Of course, it's a big mistake. We send the data to a variable test JSON, but here we type the variable wrongly, which we now see. Nice. So it's the same like before. My name is Alonso and my age is 30. My favorite sport is volleyball and my favorite art is writing. The same like before. Just I show you this way because it will make easy for you to understand how we can get data from server and send the data to the server again. But here just we have a local server. But when we have a server, this JSON object won't be in our document. It'll be in the server and we get the information that we want or the data that we want. Next, I'll show you how to loop through the object to use the data for doing something or doing an example like this. So I loop through all the data and display it once we click the button.